Hi, I'm Donnie Lorez. I've been in operations at Amazon for 10 years, working from the first to last mile. And this is From the Floor, a podcast for operations managers who want to lead better every day. If you're looking for practical insights and tips you can actually use from people you can trust, then you found the right place. My guest in this episode is Paul Pace. Paul's a regional director of operations. In this conversation, we'll be focusing on the early years of Amazon in this thing we call standard work. Hey, Paul, thanks for joining us today.
Happy to be here, Donnie. Thanks.
I've been coached to only ask one question at a time, which is really hard for me. So I will get
It's hard for me to not ask any questions at all. Do you realize how hard it is to just talk about myself?
You can ask me questions. I love to talk about myself. They just edit it out. Paul, how long have you been with Amazon?
A little over 16 years, but started with the company 20 years ago.
I mean, when you think of where the company is today versus back in 2006, I think it's easy to forget how much has changed, especially when you think about the size of the supply chain. We have an airline now. You have full last mile operations, grocery delivery, the growth of AWS. But when you think back to your day one, so much is different. And so much of the operation was more manual. And when I think back to my first day at the company and also think of an associate's first day at the company, it is intimidating.
Yeah.
Let's talk about one of those industry standards around standard work, around it's a Lean Six Sigma practice tool. Why don't you tell us what Gemba is? Is it this acronym? Does it stand for something?
Literally, where the work happens. So roughly 2010, we really were kind of doubling down on our lean transformation, and we had identified a few buildings that we wanted to have as kind of like our model buildings. We locally, and myself and my general manager at the time, grabbed the process guide concept, but we created a process guide walk. And that was a walk for the general manager, senior ops, everybody in the building to like connect and hear from the process guide on what challenges that they had and what they needed and any issues that we could solve. And, you know, that's when it sort of transitioned from the process guide walk into the Gemba walk, and then became very quickly after that a network standard. So
do Gemba walks still matter?
I guess I'll go back to the quote I provided from our previous senior leader at Amazon, which is the best problem you have is the one that you know about. And that's going to come from the voice of the person doing the job. And so, you know, there's the value of you know, frontline feedback and communication. But I think the real value and relevance of Gemba walks is that you have all the decision makers and the people in position to respond to any issue under that roof or outside of that roof, all in one place at what time. So there's no real excuse to not really advocate for the people doing that job in that moment and really problem solving. I think it's a very tactical mechanism to address the daily variability that's in front of us. And I mean, without that, you're just going to be kind of checking how on your operation through your computer. And that does not tell the whole story. I can remember an instance we were having an exceptionally good day. And we were on our way to our Gemba walk, and I was feeling pretty happy. Everything looked good on my computer and my office, and I was excited that I would probably not have to spend a whole bunch of time on the WBR next week because everything seemed to be going really, really, really well for the week. And got up to the mezzanine, and just something was off. Like I couldn't figure out what was going on, and made it to the Gemba Walk stop, and the area manager was full of anxiety, and I just couldn't their rate was great. There's no safety concerns. Everything seemed to be going well, and I pulled the manager aside afterwards, and there's like some reluctance with her. I was like, what's going on? And she said, I think we're going to run out of non-inventory boxes here pretty soon. Like, talk about going from everything's fine to like, we're about to shut this building down. And it's like, I don't know, 15% or so of all the entire Amazon network in North America at that time. There were multiple reasons why we were running too thin, weather and things of that nature. But the problem was so big and my manager, who was a very experienced manager, could sense it and was on the floor and just knew things weren't looking right. She was reluctant to bring it up because it was, in fact, she didn't bring it up. It was with a sidebar. Now, we averted the problem and we were able to get to a solution. But one of the valuable things about the Gemba Walk is that first, you're hearing from frontline folks that are doing the job. Like, they don't have any game to play. They just have the problem in front of them. There's no politics. There's no conference call they have to follow up on. It's just the realities of what's in front of them. And I think you get much closer to the truth the more time you invest in Gemba Walk.
In my current regular job, when I'm not hosting fabulous podcast guests, I spend a lot of time in standard work, and I've aside from being a GM, being a regional director, and being a part of Gemba Walks in those roles, I've done a lot of site visits. I've seen Gemba, been part of a lot of Gemba Walks, and the best Gemba Walks are those that are not done as a performative exercise, are not done to highlight when things are going wrong and make a point, but really when those leaders on the walk, especially the senior leaders on the walk, are there to be part of solving the problem. And how can I help? There may be learning moments that need to happen for leaders of all levels. And I've seen senior leaders take learnings during a Gemba as well and say, I didn't know that's how the process worked. Really? Interesting. Let me make a phone call. But Gemba is like the ultimate opportunity to stitch together the reality versus what I understood to be happening versus what the data is telling me, and problem solve together with all parties. And I think you said that really well, because truly Gemba is when people go together to see the problem on the floor. I just think they're articulating it perfectly, that it's critical to our operations.
Is what you think is happening actually happening?
Mm-hmm.
Another quick reflection, back at the mezzanine multi-pack, and we had kind of divvied this, 2,500 shoots. We'd sort of divvied them into zones and staffed the mezzanine in with those zones. And we had a frontline, hourly employee come to Gemba and chat. And I remember this gentleman said, "Hey, I haven't seen a package come down B7 for a while. I think so there's A and B levels, and there's a B7." I said, "Oh, okay." So we had maintenance go check it out. This person only had a certain amount of shoots, so if one of the shoots was offline, that would cause recirculation and all kinds of upstream, problems. So relatively small in terms of total scale, but still an issue. Maintenance checked it out. The next day, came back to Gemba. Our maintenance manager was there, and we asked about B7, and he said, "Yeah, everything looks normal. Everything looks great." I said, "Well, has an order come down since yesterday?" "Oh, okay, we'll check on that." Oh, yeah, the next day goes by. Long story short, after a week of this back and forth, this chute B7 was, they had at install inverted the input and output wire. And so the year was, this is 2013. The sorter was installed in 2002.
No.
So for 11 years,
No.
this chute never received an order. And we would have never known because there's, 2,500 other chutes. And so, yeah, we finally got to the bottom of it, and that chute eventually had orders running down it. I remember we ended up relocating out of that building into another building nearby, and as we were decommissioning that building, I grabbed the facilities leader. I said, "Hey, come on a quick walk with me." So we walked up to the mezzanine. I walked up to B7, which had these metal fasteners on the bracket, and I said, "Hey, you have to give me that tag before we shut this building down. Okay, I need you to cut that thing off and give it to me." And even, I'm not in my office now, but at my home office, there's the B7 metal tag in my office. Look at it every day.
The power of listening to those that are connected most to the work. So Gemba, it's critical. I love that story. I'm going to use that one, Paul.
Let's take a quick pause to highlight a benefit that can support you and your team. Career choice, it's not just for your team. It's available to many L4 Plus Amazonians too. Whether you're interested in technical certifications, healthcare, robotics, or other growing fields, Amazon can invest in your development. Visit A to Z to learn more.
Paul, when I think back to the fulfillment center where I started at Amazon, TPA1, shout out to Tampa 1, I think back to some of the concepts that I learned my first couple of weeks and how important it was to essentially, leaders are on stage from not the moment they walk into the building, but from the moment pulled into the parking lot, because the actions that a leader performs, the things a leader says, they matter. And it matters how fast a leader drives in the parking lot. If the speed limit is 5 miles an hour, if you're driving 5 miles an hour, it matters. You should be driving the speed limit to demonstrate what safe behavior looks like. When you're walking to your work area, and if doesn't matter if you are on night shift or if it's very early in the morning and you're about to start a very early day shift, if it's water on the floor is the standard, then you should have water on the floor and not a Starbucks or a coffee. What is a shining example to you of it matters more what you do than what you say? And how does that drive customer obsession more than words alone?
Yeah, I think as a leader, it doesn't matter what level you are. People are watching and they're trying to learn about you. Not in a bad way or a good way. They're just curious, and you're sharing a floor. And people are looking at you, especially as a leader, but all levels. We had for a long time we had this idea and sort of a tagline that we called "Real Leaders Pick Up Trash." And the idea behind that was, no, we don't have trash all over our floor, but from time to time there's that little speck of something over there, or there's a little, maybe a piece of paper fell off a desk or something like that. And so, real leaders pick up trash as a tagline. The point was do the right thing even when no one is looking. And how do we take that well-known statement that's sort of beyond just Amazon culture and turn it into something that's identifiable and can be tagged to a behavior, and people can think about it, and then when they do it, they can recognize that they are doing it in real practice. So I love the tagline, "Real Leaders Pick Up Trash." I think it meant a lot of things, but most importantly, as a leader, I'm being watched, and I am going to behave, in a way that's demonstrates leadership and our leadership principles, and no jobs above me. And I'm, here to support the process and the people in this building in any way, shape, or form, even if that means picking up that little piece of trash on the ground.
Absolutely. And I think that's all the time we have for today. Paul, thank you so much. Really learned a lot from your leadership experience and sharing with us. Hope that you'll join us again sometime soon.
Hey, this was a ton of fun, Donnie. Appreciate it. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks to Paul for joining me, and thanks to everyone out there for listening. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Join me next time for another conversation from the floor.